What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So in this video, I want to talk about something that is a little more serious, and that is the situation that is happening at the border when it comes to Haitian migrants. And I've been meaning to make this video for a moment, but I've been just kind of thinking things over before I come through, just to give you my thoughts and opinions, and kind of also just take some time to think where and what I want to talk about within the video as well. Um, and ultimately, this video will sort of center around the question, are Haitian immigrants, our problem, quote unquote. And when I say "are," I mean, African American people who were a part of the American slavery experience are like descendants of that experience. And when I say problem, more like our concern, but it is a problem. But, should we be concerned? Should we take on this problem? Should we, get out in the streets and march and advocate and, have celebrities come to the forefront and speak, you know, call our call our congressmen, call them President Biden and Vice President Harris, things like that. Um, so let me get into the video though. So a question I have is, should we care? Um, and there's reasons to care and there's reasons to not care. Um, one one can say that this isn't really our problem, since this is affecting Haitian migrants, non-ADOS folks. And um, ADOS, meaning basically American descendants of slavery, have their own problems and issues to deal with. So it's like, I don't know if we can really take on another problem, right? On the other hand, it's like, well, an attack against blackness anywhere is an attack against blackness everywhere, right? And, you know, blackness is like something that unites us, and, we should want to defend that and want to defend people within the diaspora. So, there's reasons to, care and reasons to not care. I do think at least we need to be cognizant of what is happening at the border, and what is happening with people who resemble us and people who, come from the same lineage as we do, or at least, similar lineages, because, Haitian people do ultimately come from the slavery experience, as far as slaves being taken from West Africa to the Americas. That is true. Um, they may not be a part of our specific slavery experience, but they are a part of the slavery experience as a whole. Like, they part of their legacy is within intertwines with that. Um, but I know some people may feel like, well, I don't think that we should advocate and be concerned about it and really try to do much about it because, well, perhaps, some people feel like foreign black people look down on American black people, which I'm not going to say is like 100% false. I do think there's some truth in that, and I'm not saying that every single foreign black person is like that, because I don't think that's true. But there is some truth in that. And then I guess on the flip side, some foreign black people can say that some American black people have some sort of animosity and look down on them, perhaps. And I do think that when it comes to immigrants in the United States, period, and just honestly people in the United States, period, I feel like anti-blackness is like an American ritual. Like it's almost like you have to participate in anti-blackness in order to get citizenship or um, even just be considered American to an extent. And some people can say that what's happening at the border with Haitian immigrants, and really honestly, just any immigrants, but I feel like people, particularly Black people, are concerned because it's people that look like them and that they can identify with, right? Which is okay. A lot of people do that. I'm not saying that they're doing anything that's different from what other people are doing, but I'm just making a statement there. Um, but some people can argue that this situation is like a human rights issue, right? And I will say we do have to kind of, well, we should at least think about why the Haitian immigrants are leaving their country and coming to other countries, because they've left and gone to other countries, particularly I believe in like Latin America, oddly enough, for some reason. Um, I guess maybe they're just more convenient or more accepting and opening. I did remember coming across an article or either a video by Voz de America, Voice of America, in Spanish, saying that pretty much the Haitian immigrants that have been coming through Mexico, at least in like Tijuana, have been welcomed, actually, oddly enough. It's strange. The United States ain't welcoming them, definitely, but in Mexico, they have been welcomed, um, from what I've heard, at least from that article or that video. I think it may have been a video, actually. I'm not sure. Maybe an article or a video. Um, I'm wondering if I can find it and see if I can put it up there. But it's in Spanish, though, so I don't think y'all would be willing to look at that for obvious reasons. But whatever. um, and also, this is an immigration issue, definitely. And I feel like when it comes to Black people typically, a lot of times, stay out of immigration issues because they feel like it doesn't affect them or people that look like them, which is fine. But now you do have an example of like, oh, well, if you had perhaps acted on an issue that affected people who did not look like you and helped them out, then maybe you wouldn't be experiencing this issue at hand now, right? Sort of like how sometimes people do with Black people, where it's like, oh, it's affecting Black people. Oh, I don't care. But then when it affects them, then it's like, oh, it's a big deal. It's a big issue, and it's like, well, perhaps this wouldn't have happened if you had helped out the Black people who were affected first before it spread to people who look like you. Perhaps. Um, and I heard some people, well, not heard, but maybe read a couple of comments here and there on social media, particularly YouTube, saying that that Haitians are Latinos. And me personally, I never viewed Haitians as being part of Latinidad or Hispanidad. I never viewed them as being a part of that, and that's fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying I just never viewed them as being like Hispanic or Latino. Um, they have adjacency to the Dominican Republic, which is considered Hispanic and Latino, but I wouldn't consider them to be Hispanic or Latino. But either way it goes, does it matter? Should it matter that, if they are considered Latino or not, right? Like if they're considered Latino, would it be like, oh, well, we can open the border to them now? Like, would that really make a difference? Or should that really make a difference? And also, I do feel like this is low key sort of like being done for like population control and um, sort of like controlling to an extent like gene pools, even like, oh, we don't want this new influx of immigrants to come into the like quote unquote American gene pool, right? And start making more like folks of color, quote unquote, right? More shades of blackness, right? But if they were considered Latino, though, would it make them more worthy of advocacy? Or them just being Haitian and black, does it not make them worthy or worthy enough of advocacy? Right. And as well, some people feel like there's a racial component to this where it's like, well, oh, y'all let the lighter skinned um, undocumented people come in, like the maybe mestizos or indigenous folks from south of the border, but you won't let like the black, darker skinned people and have, people who have darker skin in, and people feeling like that is a thing, like that's what's at play here too. and and also like speaking in general, at least when it comes to the Haitian immigrants, they're they've had like, I know I'm all over the place in this video. I'm just going to have to put this video as a rant. But the journey from Haiti to the border in Texas, that is a journey. Like, you have to have some determination and some tenacity and some strength and some grit to make a journey like that. Like, some people can't even walk up the street. Don't have enough tenacity, grit, and determination to walk up the street to get a bite to eat. So that in itself is worthy of applause, definitely. But what made them make this journey? Because obviously something has to be wrong within the country of Haiti in order for them to feel the need to make a journey like that, to make a voyage like that, right? People usually don't make a voyage like that if everything's all good, if everything's all well and fine. And the earthquake recently happened, of course, and also the assassination of the president, as well as other factors that have been brewing for a long time in Haiti. I'm not an expert on Haiti, Haitian culture, the politics of Haiti, anything like that. I'm not trying to profess myself to be, but I'm just saying in general. Um, and I also watched probably like two clips on YouTube before I did this video. One clip was from the Rio, and I watched that clip because I know that I always had trouble pronouncing her name. But one of the hosts of the Rio, who used to be an actress on the Jamie Foxx show, I know that she is Haitian, and I wanted, especially to watch that clip to see what she had to say. Obviously, she was pretty emotional about it as well. Lonnie was very supportive, and that was nice of Lonnie to be very supportive and helpful. And um, Jeannie Mai and Adrian, they were okay. But I also watched another clip, which was, it involved Trevor Noah, and he was speaking on the situation as well, making jokes, On one hand, yes. On one hand, no. It's like, it is a serious issue, a serious topic. So I don't know if jokes are the best thing, but perhaps maybe people need some jokes to lighten up the mood. I'm just saying. Um, but I also saw some of the images that um, made their rounds on social media, especially, and the images show pretty much um, Caucasian men on horses using their reins as whips and essentially pursuing black people, both black men, black women, and black children. And I was like, ooh, that is not a good look. All right. That really does, you know, trigger images of like slavery. I know the host from The Real, who's Haitian, she said that when she saw those images, she did feel like she was watching a slavery movie. And also some people are pressing the Biden administration to intervene. I don't really think that's going to be happening. If they're going to be intervening, I don't think it's going to be on behalf of the Haitian migrants. Um, but nevertheless, people are pressing the Biden administration to act. You know. And by the way, I mentioned earlier in this video that I don't view Haitian people as being part of Latinidad or Hispanidad. I know that Latino and Hispanic are not racist; they're ethnicities. I do know that. And it's not really like a biological thing, it's more so like a cultural thing, but I'm just saying, I just don't view them as being a part of that. um, and I don't think they view themselves as being a part of that either. Again, I'm just saying. And some people are taking the news media to task, at least the American, like the mainstream American news media, because they feel like they haven't really reported on this all that much. I'm not sure because I don't really watch much mainstream media at this point. I don't really watch television or anything like that. Um, but I'll take their word for it if they feel like it hasn't been reported enough, which wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, it's probably not the best look in the American media. It is set up to function in a certain way that is in favor of the pristine image of America and upholding that. Not to say that nothing has ever been broadcast in the media that has been disparaging of America, but I'm just saying. And then there's some people who are saying that Haitian people are asylum seekers and that they should be able to sort of get in based on the United States policy when it comes to asylum seekers, but I don't think they view Haitians as being asylum seekers. They may view, say, Cubans as being asylum seekers. That's cool, but not Haitians, I don't think, though. That's why that's why perhaps uh, Miami has the population and the Cuban influence that it has, right? And as well, generally speaking, there are other immigration issues as well at play too. I know in um, a lot of like Africans, like Native Africans, will try to go into Europe some way, like try to go to Italy or France or even Spain. You know, um, trying to like pretty much cross into Europe, seeking, a better life, pretty much, right? Sort of like how people classify or stereotype, rather, say like Mexican people are people from Central America, and probably just, ignorantly all Latinos in general, right? Um, but, it's strange to see because, in the United States, when we think of like undocumented people, migrants, and things like that, we don't think of like Black people. We tend to think of other groups of people. But Black people are a part of that group. Maybe not, of course, not African American people for obvious reasons. Um, but nevertheless, that's true. And I think ultimately the question is, should, ADOS people, American descendants of slavery, Black people who are descendants from people from slavery, should they be concerned? Should they care? Should they advocate for um, immigration issues in general, or immigration issues that affect um, other Black people, foreign Black people, or should they just stay out of it altogether and mind their own business since no one comes to the rescue and tries to save Black people? So let me know what you guys think about all of this. I know this video was like all over the place, but I just wanted to just give you my thoughts, and I had a lot of thoughts to give. So let me know what you think about all of this in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.